Continue with Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. This is rule number 11. Don't bother children when they are skateboarding. Success and resentment. If you read the depth psychologists, Freud and Jung, for example, as well as their precursor, Friedrich Nietzsche, you learn that there is a dark side to everything. Freud delved deeply into the latent, implicit content of dreams, which were often aimed, in his opinion, at the expression of some improper wish. Jung believed that every act of social property was accompanied by its evil twin, its unconscious shadow. Nietzsche investigated the role played by what he termed resentment in motivating what were ostensibly selfless actions and often exhibited all too publicly. For that man be delivered from revenge, that is for me the bridge to the highest hope and a rainbow after long storms. The tarantulas, of course, would have it otherwise. What justice means to us is precisely that the world be filled with the storms of our revenge. Thus they speak to each other. We shall wreak vengeance and abuse on all whose equals we are not. Thus do the tarantula hearts vow. And will to equality shall henceforth be the name for virtue, and against all that has power we want to raise our clamor. Our preachers of equality, the tyrant mania of impotence clamors thus out you for equality. Your most secret ambitions to be tyrants thus shroud themselves in the world of virtue. Okay. The incomparable English essayist George Orwell knew this sort of thing well. In 1937, he wrote The Road to Wigan Pier, which is in part a scathing attack on upper-class British socialites. This, despite being inclined towards socialism himself. In the first half of this book, Orwell portrays the appalling conditions faced by UK miners in the 1930s. Several dentists have told me that in industrial districts, a person over 30 with any of his or her own teeth is coming to an abnormality. In Wigan, various people gave me their opinion that it is best to get shut of your teeth as early in life as possible. Teeth is just a misery, one woman said to me. A Wigan Pier coal miner had to walk, crawl would be a better word, given the height of the mine shafts, up to 3 miles underground in the dark, banging his head and scraping his back just to get his 7.5-hour shift of back-breaking work. After that, he crawled back. It is comparable, perhaps, to climbing a smallish mountain before and after your day's work, stated Orwell. None of the time spent crawling was paid. Orwell wrote The Road to Wagon Pier for the Left Book Club, a socialist publishing group that released a secret volume every month. After reading the first half of his book, which deals directly with the miners' personal circumstances, it is impossible not to feel sympathy for the working poor. Only a monster could keep his heart hardened through the accounts of the lives Orwell describes. It is not long since conditions in the mines were worse than they are now. There are still living a few very old women who in their youth have worked underground, crawling on all fours and dragging tubs of coal. They used to go on doing this even when they were pregnant. In the book's second half, however, Orwell turns his gaze to a different problem, the comparative unpopular of socialism in the UK at the time, the unpopularity of socialism in the UK at the time, despite the clear and painful inequity observable everywhere. He concluded that the tweed-wearing, armchair philosophizing, victim-identifying, pity and contempt dispensing social reformer types frequently did not like the poor as they claimed. Instead, they just hated the rich. They disguised their resentment and jealousy with pity, sanctity, and self-righteousness. Things in the unconscious or on the social justice dispensing leftist front haven't changed much today. It is because of Freud, Jung, Nietzsche, and Orwell that I always wonder, what then do you stand against? Whenever I hear someone say too loudly, I stand for this, the question seems particularly relevant if the same someone is complaining, criticizing, or trying to change someone else's behavior. Good point. I believe it was Jung who developed the most surgically wicked of psychoanalytic dicta. If you cannot understand why someone did something, look at the consequences and infer the motivation. This is a psychological scalpel. It's not always a suitable instrument. It can cut too deeply or in the wrong places. It is, perhaps, a last resort option. Nonetheless, there are times when its application proves enlightening. If the consequences of placing skate stoppers on plant boxes and sculpture bases, for example, is unhappy adolescent males and brutally atheist, aesthetic disregard of beauty, then perhaps... Stop it, guys. Come on. I know it's Friday night and all, but come on. When someone claims to be acting from the highest principle for the good of others, there is no reason to assume that the person's motives are genuine. People motivated to make things better usually aren't concerned with changing other people. Or, if they are, they take responsibility for making the changes to themselves. And first, beneath the production of rules stopping the skateboarders from doing highly skilled, courageous, and dangerous things, I see the operation of insidious and profoundly anti-human spirits. I agree with you, Dr. Peterson, 100% so far on this rule. Don't bother kids when they're skateboarding. Let them skateboard. And don't try to change people. Worry about yourself, man. I am who I am. I don't need to change anybody, you know? All right. Thanks for listening. That was Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, rule number 11. Thanks again, and have a nice day.